have you ever looked in the mirror and seen the paradox of aging? And by that I mean you look and you see your outer physical self and you see those wrinkles and you see your grey hair and you see your sagging skin and all the other little, age spots and things like that. And you see that you are definitely aging. But inside, in your mind, you still feel youthful. You still feel, you're still that person that you were, say, in your 30s to 40s. And you've had all life's experiences, ups and downs that have shaped you, but basically, you still feel young. And I think that is just the ultimate paradox of aging. And I think it's so cruel in a way because we see ourselves just aging before us and sort of withering away, and yet our minds are still young, and that we just they're on sort of different paths. Our minds aren't keeping up with our outer bodies with aging. And I think that that's a bit cruel. I think that it just feels cruel sometimes when you see that. And so today I'm going to go through that sort of paradox of aging and just my thoughts and my experience and yeah, just my views on that. So stay tuned. So I think that it's really you have to be really grounded. I think that it's really difficult seeing yourself aging, and it's not that I'm unhappy or I'm not coping with aging at all because I am, and I'm fine with the way I look and my health and all that kind of thing. It's just that I think as you age, you start becoming more categorized by society in how you should feel, act, and the things that you do. And I don't want to always be like that. It's really tricky because I still like fast cars. I still like having fun. I still like being really silly. I still like adventures. I've got an adventurous spirit. I still like, just being really playful. And it's really hard, I think, when you see, I think the outer world tells us that, Leanne, you're 63, I'm grey, and you sort of get looked upon by society as just, being old and being in that, that next phase of your life. And I think unless you are in that next phase of your life, it's really hard for people to understand exactly what I'm talking about. Because when you're young, you don't think like that. You don't give that any thought at all. And it's not until you reach this age, you actually understand that the frustration. And I know, for example, with my mother, and she always said to me, wait till my age, Leanne, you will understand. And I was just like, yeah, just, blow it off and whatever, mum, sort of thing. And she would always, and it wasn't such a negative thing. She was just trying to sort of make me realize that even in her situation, it's you see things very differently and you experience things very differently. And so she was trying to tell me that, wait till you're my age, you'll actually understand what I'm going through with exactly what I'm talking about now. And so I think it can be really frustrating because our minds are still young, and we have changed a little bit through, due to life's experiences and bad things that have happened, or ups and downs in life. So we do change a little bit, but fundamentally our personalities and our really inner selves and our minds are still the same. That doesn't change too much. So it's really it's quite an experience. Like, I sit in that for a while and sort of think about all of that, and it's just so interesting because I feel that where your mind and your body are on different paths. They're not the same. Your body's accelerating and getting older, but your mind's still back here on this other path, just dawdling along and enjoying life as you watch yourself physically age in the mirror. So how do you deal with that? I mean, how do you just I don't know, do you just not think about it? It's not something that I think about daily. It doesn't consume my life. It's just an observation, and I notice it from time to time. And I guess, there's a little bit of frustration there as well because, and that comes from society because of the way they see us. And it's not society's fault, but it's just that programming. And I'll give you an example. I was at the airport last year. I just come back from Japan, and I had arrived in Adelaide, and I had a big sort of, quite a heavy suitcase, and all my bits and pieces, and I'm standing at the baggage collection, and a lady, I don't know, she would have been probably maybe sort of mid to late 40s, with her husband, was standing there. And I went to get my bag off the carousel, and she came up and she said, "Oh, would you like some help with your bag?" And inside, I was just so mortified. I mean, she was so lovely, and I really appreciated it. But I'm still strong. I'm still really active physically, and I don't know, but I just, it was really confronting, because I've never ever had anyone ask me that before, or approach me to, I felt like I was the little old lady that someone had come up and, kind of wanted to help out. So it was really confronting, and I was quite taken back by it, because I'm so independent, and I'm so capable of doing stuff. So I just found it very, quite confronting. It's the first time that's ever happened to me. So it's, and she's not to know, like, I'm physically still strong. My mental attitude's, just sort of still young. And so people aren't to know. They just see you surface level, on the outside for what you are. And it was really lovely. But it just really got me thinking about our physical age and how we still feel inside. And that was very confronting. The other thing is, I've noticed that you sort of become a little bit more invisible as you get older. So you can go up to a counter into a shop or at a bar or something, and people kind of look past you a little bit. You're sort of not seen as much. It's really difficult because of the way society looks at us as we get older. And it's hard, because inside I'm sort of still screaming, but I'm young, I can do all these things still, I'm still young. But your outer self doesn't reflect that. So I think that's one of the hardest things about aging. I don't know, let me know what you think about that, because do you sort of feel the same way? Do you see that as well in the mirror? Do you see that you're aging, but you still have this really young mind, or your attitude is still so young, and it's sort of, no, it's not even frustrating, it's just what it is, but it's quite difficult. So how do you get past that? I mean, I still love having fun. I went to Japan last year with my son. He's 23, and we had an absolute blast. And we were, we were in photo booths taking those photos and running around. And he took me into a place called Don Quixote, which is just huge in Japan. And he's buying all these silly things. I ended up buying silly things with him, and racing up and down stairs, because you do so much walking in Japan, up and down steps and all sorts of stuff. And I was fine. I kept up. We were doing, I don't know, maybe 20,000 steps a day. And we had such a ball. But so I don't feel old. But it's funny though, because even we're going back to Japan in March, and he wants to go to one of those, I think they're called, it's like a nightclub, but they have these sort of, they're not escorts, but they have these male, I don't know what they're called, young guys in there, and lots of young people go there, and they're really cool nightclubs. Anyway, he wants to go and check one of those out, because I think you can hire someone to come and sit and drink with you, and it's quite bizarre, but it's just, I don't know, it's fascinating. And he wanted to go. He said, "Mum, we'll have to go and decide one of these." And I'm like, yeah, we'll do that. But then I thought about it, and I thought, oh, we're in Japan. They're quite, their culture's very different. And I think if they saw somebody like me with grey hair going in with James, it would be really frowned upon. Because I am older, and what am I doing in a club like that? Because I'm classified as, the grandma or that older person. And so it really put me off. And I said, "Oh, James, I don't think we should go because of that. I think that will sort of get a few looks from people of, what's she doing in here? That's not right." And it's so annoying, because I would be there in a second, because I just love experiencing everything, and I like to check things out. And I know that my son and I would have an absolute blast. But I pulled back, because I'm just I'm conscious of the fact that would be frowned upon. And it's just not fair. And it shouldn't be that way. But unfortunately, it is. Maybe I should just think, what the hell, we're going to do it anyway, I don't care. And maybe we will. But that's the frustrating part of looking older and looking your age, being in your 60s, looking your age, but not feeling that way, because as I said, I would be there in a millisecond just to have that experience and check it out. So it's really hard. I think the thing is not to try and um, have your body and mind be the same, because they just won't. It's really difficult to do that. So I think the thing is just to understand that you do have that young mind, young outlook on life, but also at the same time really appreciate, you know, what your physical self and all of those, you know, all the wrinkles you have is your life experience, as I said, your ups and downs and things like that. So you need to love that outer version of you as well. But also, I think it's really important not to allow your mind to slip into that older version, because, you know, that whole, oh, you need to act your age type of thing. I think the key is to um, appreciate both your young mind and the fact that your physical body is, your age, and even if it's not in line with your mind, you're never going to get those two to align if you do have that young outlook on life. But also appreciate your physical self. Like, you have lived through life, you've gotten to where you are now through lots of ups and downs, lots of experiences. But don't allow your mind to become old because you look at yourself in the mirror and you see that you are older. Don't let your mind catch up with that, if that makes sense. So what I mean by that is, really appreciate everything you've been through. You need to appreciate your physical body as well, but keep that young mind, that sense of adventurous, your adventurous side, your curiosity, your playfulness, all that, you're wanting to learn still, all that kind of young stuff, especially the curiosity. We don't always know everything, so always be open and have that sense of curiosity, but don't allow your mind to sort of catch up with your physical self because you think that, oh, I'm this age now, so I should be acting or thinking like this. And I think the thing is to to keep that sense of, or to stay feeling young and have that young mind. It's all to do with confidence, looking after your body, staying healthy, definitely staying healthy, making the effort. Like, I love fashion, so I'm always, that's my thing. I love buying clothes. I like looking good. I wear makeup, and I really love it. And it makes me feel good, and I will never change that. And that does to me with my physical appearance. I really like it, and it's not vanity at all. It's just wanting to. It makes me feel good inside, and so I will always make an effort. I will always strive to stay healthy, and it gives you confidence if you start thinking that, oh well, I'm now this age, so I better start acting like that, and so I won't make an effort, or I won't make an effort to look good or be healthy. That all plays a part in aging as well. And I truly believe that attitude to life, attitude in general, plays a huge part in the energy that you give out. So you might be 63 like I am, and people see that, oh, Leanne's 63, but she gives off this amazing positive energy, and people are drawn to that, and it's a really nice, it's all part of it. So even though people can see that you're older, you're not invisible, if that makes sense. So research says that people they perceive their age, so they perceive based on their physical and mental health, and their attitude to life, their lifestyle, and the way their outlook on life, instead of their actual age. So there's a little bit of a sort of an example of, people who, when they say, oh, but I don't feel my age, I don't feel like I'm 60. I certainly don't feel like I'm 63. I feel like I'd be more, probably around 40, how I feel right now. So, and it's based on your attitude, the effort that you put into yourself. And because I've seen people that are in their 60s that look like they're in their 80s. I've got friends that, carry on and act like they're 10 years older than what they actually are. And it's because of and these people are really down on life. They hate getting old. They're not embracing it, won't celebrate birthdays, really grumbly, just attitude sucks, basically. And I'd be surprised if they have a long life, because they just are going through life just hating aging. And what's the point of doing that? We can't stop that. It's inevitable. We're all going to die. So to deal with it, as I said earlier, make an effort. Make yourself feel good. If you look and see in the mirror and see that, make an effort. Have a positive attitude. Look after your health. Make an effort to look out, look nice on the outer side. Like if you're going out somewhere, make an effort, dress nicely, make an effort, do the things that make you happy. Don't be closed off. Always be open to other people's opinions. Don't close off and think that you know it all. Be always curious. Be open to adventure. And all of those things will make you feel so much better, and it shows on the outside as well. So to me, that's sort of a way of counterbalancing that, that physical aging, is if you let your inner attitude and your inner self sort of bloom more, or just, become more positive and just focus on that more than your outer self. I'm not talking about fitness. I mean, and health is a huge part of it, but just really focus on your mental attitude. And I think that definitely will help balance things out. So what do you think? Let me know. Have you noticed, do you look in the mirror and think, oh, look at all these wrinkles and but I don't feel that old? I mean, how have you ever thought that? Have you looked in the mirror and seen that? What do you do? What are your thoughts on that? Share them with me, because I think it's a really interesting thing. And it's not one that people really talk about that much, but it's definitely there. And if we're honest with ourselves, I think most of us definitely see that. Look in the mirror, see that we're aging, think that, oh, but I only feel like I'm 40, 30s or 40s. So yeah, let me know your experience with that.